Yo, what is up, what is up, what is up, and welcome back to another YouTube video with your host Kenkukun. And today we got another Destiny 2 video where we cover the Stasis breakdown for the Titan. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Don't mind my Postmaster being full. So we've covered the Hunter, we've covered the Warlock, we've covered the Titan. Now I did a lot of more Titan gameplay in Survival. One of the funnest things I had with the Titan when it came out is in sixes I was just running around meleeing people with my melee, using it for shenanigans, running Dune Marchers, um, and just trying to obliterate as many enemies as possible with this melee. But when I brought it to survival and I brought that same mindset in there, well, I got jacked up a lot in early games. Why? Because survival and sixes are different, right? So you're playing quick play 6v6 and you're playing survival 3v3. And one of the notable differences, and probably the most prevalent one, is because there are less enemies, so because there are less teammates on your team, your presence in the match is more visible to the enemy, right? Your presence is greater. That means instead of looking at teammate number 4, 5, and 6, and you're running up and you're just, you run up and punch them, melee them, shotgun them, whatever. They don't see 4, 5, and 6. They see 1, 2, and 3, and you're one of those 3. So your presence is just more known on the map. So keep that in mind, guys. Anything I say I'm enjoying doing in sixes may not be as viable in threes, and we will definitely when I actually do other videos where I'm, hey, this is probably a good way to play this or a good way to play that, or here's some builds. It usually will revolve around trials or survival. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive over the abilities. So ability number 1, Shiver Strike. Hold input to leap through the air, releasing unleashes a powerful dash attack that knocks targets back, slowing and damaging them. So pretty much you just fly at the enemy and punch them like All Might, right? Now if you jump in the air and you hold the button down, you'll go a little bit farther until you kind of there's going to be a steep drop off eventually. You can't just fly indefinitely. There is some good tracking with this to a degree, so if you're slightly above an enemy, there's a good chance if you release the button close to them, it'll track and hit them. The longer you hold the button, the farther you go. Of course, there is a range to that. I recommend everyone get used to the range. Even a small hop off the ground could be the difference between short stopping from an enemy and actually connecting with them. With that being said, I think the higher up in the air you are and the harder you hit the enemy. I've watched my teammates punch enemies into walls and they don't die. I've punched enemies into walls from literally they're just standing next to the wall and I've hit them and then they've just kind of smashed into the wall with less than an inch to move and they've just died. They're just die. So I'm not gonna say it's very consistent with them flying into the wall. I've hit people that have flown across the map and hit walls and not die. So, and then I've hit people that don't fly back. Why? Because one of the big things with Destiny 2's or Destiny's mechanics in general, ever since D1, one of the things to do to stop your guys from flying back when, let's say you're in a strike and a boss does an explosion attack, and they want to, knock you back, a knockback shockwave, you melee at the time of impact. That means your melee lunge pulls you into the boss, where the boss would either push you back. Now, I've used this method many a times to try and take down bosses with my sword. So I would melee as I get hit. You'll see it more with the sword because you're probably just swinging willy-nilly, right? So keep that in mind. It applies in PvP as well. So if you don't want to get knocked back by this, get your timing down. Sometimes it's hard to see. I see Titans running at me and it looks like they're lagging right through me. And I know that they're just sliding at me, and then the melee, I just explode, and then I see their feet shuffle really, really fast as if they were shuffling at me, and then, there's no punch animation, but I know I got punched by them. So it's, I don't know if it's lag at that point or, Titans just need those frames to actually look like they're not lagging yet. Who knows? All right, we're going to go back into the grenades. Now we got the 3 grenades here. We'll just go over them very briefly. We got the Cold Snap Grenade, in case you didn't watch my other videos. We got the Cold Snap Grenade, which freezes targets for 1.35 seconds. It tracks targets as well once that connects to them. they will freeze. They also slow distracting by 33%. We got the Duskfield Grenade, which pulls enemies towards the center mass. It slows enemies in there. Hunters cannot shade step. They can shift, which is the teleport. They can shift out. And I believe Dawnblades can Icarus Dash out as well. And Titans can use their melee to pull out as well. As you get slowed in the Duskfield Grenade, once you get a stack of 10, you will freeze for the 4.75 seconds, I believe it is. So, last but not least, you have the Glacier Grenade, a grenade that creates walls of stasis shards to block damage and freeze targets. These walls can be shattered for damage. Now, you can use this as, offensively and defensively. You can throw it on an enemy and it'll freeze them, or you can throw it down and create a wall and then put a barricade behind the wall. Now, granted, you're going to lose line of sight of what the enemy's doing, so you're not going to be able to see through this wall. Sometimes that could be bad. You won't know if they're jumping. Heck, if you throw it in front of a Titan, he might just decide to slide through it and kill you before you have a chance to react, right? So, keep that in mind. Another thing, when you throw this grenade at an enemy and it direct impacts them, it does not instantly start freezing them. It has to bounce off of them and hit the ground. I wish this was a change, because it kind of should, if it directs impacts a Guardian, I think it should instantly, if not freeze them, should slow them. That way the grenade hits the ground and expands towards them and then catches them in the freeze. But I 100% would like to see it freeze. I think it should freeze the target, and then the ice wall should expand from their body in both directions. And because it looks like you get like 4 or 5 pillars, and just put them in the center. Put them in between, 3 and 4, or put them, where number 5 would be, right? And then you proceed to destroy them. All right, let's take a look at the aspects. Cryoclasm enables a longer and more powerful slide. Sliding into stasis crystals or frozen targets shatters them and any nearby frozen targets. Now, this could be very useful if you can get your timing down from freezing someone into sliding into them. You don't even have to waste a bullet. You just slide, they explode. It's actually pretty satisfying. I like it, which is one of the reasons I run the Glacial Grenade. Not only can you shatter enemies, you can just shatter crystals. So, I can take this aspect, I can slide through my ice wall, and I can blow up 3, 4, 5 people because I'm a Titan. I love the nonsense that the Titan can do. This is probably the most fun Stasis class out of all 3 for me, and I'm enjoying all of them a little bit more. Where I was like, the Hunter's not not as fun. I'm enjoying the Hunter for what he is. I'm enjoying the Warlock. I'm enjoying the Titan. I'm enjoying all 3, to be honest. So it's been a minute since I've enjoyed all 3 subclasses relatively evenly. So with that said, we'll move into the tech. Oh, and it comes with 1 fragment slot. Now we'll move into Tectonic Harvest. Comes with 2 fragment slots. Shattering a stasis crystal creates a stasis shard. The shard grants melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. Now, you can slide through these shards, or you can shoot them, and it'll leave little crystals that everyone can grab, and it'll give them a little bit of their melee energy back. It's not a lot, but it can definitely help out if you're trying to get your melee back a lot. As far as aspects go, this is an okay aspect. Now, if this could increase to a greater amount, then we have a conversation worth talking. But as soon as the next aspect comes out, as long as it has, 1 to 2 fragment slots, this is probably replaceable. And it really depends. We're going to take a look at the fragments now, because I got to think about my build just slightly. But it really depends. If it comes with 1 fragment slot, I might keep this on and say, hey, it might be more prudent to keep this on versus switching. But let's go ahead and take a look at the fragment slots real quick. Now I'm just going to quickly go over what we got from left to right. Whisper of Hedrons, once again, gain a bonus weapon damage after freezing a target with stasis. Now the only way you're freezing a target on the Titan is with the super, or the ice wall, or the Duskfield grenade, or the cold snap grenade. So one of the grenades, pretty much. It's one ability out of 2. It's the grenades aren't always reliable to freeze someone. I personally don't run that fragment on anything. And when you're in your super and you're freezing people, you're not using your weapon. So yeah. Then we got Whisper of Fissures, increases the damage and size of the burst of the stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. And I do run that on the Titan. It's very useful, very powerful. Now, increases the damage and size of the burst of the stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or frozen target. The explosion radius, I don't know exactly how far it is, but it's pretty big. I've killed people that I didn't think I was going to kill, or at least damage them enough that I could just come in with a melee and finish them. So, very powerful, very useful. I really recommend running this for the build because it's just going to help you out a great deal. Then you got defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy. Once again, you're kind of freezing, you're kind of slowing, but class ability, Titan Shield, I mean, if you're not running the new exotic to get an overshield, and I don't even know then if it's worth it, you really wouldn't be running this fragment on this class. Again, I think this is more of maybe a hunter. Postmaster, I got you. This is more for the hunter, I would say. So running it on the hunter would be your better bet. I just don't see it as viable on the Titan. All right, slow from your abilities lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase, plus 10 strength. Now, you just want your melee back. You got the plus 10 strength. It kind of seems like a win-win here, and I think this is like the overall. If we only had one fragment slot to work with, out of any of the classes, out of every subclass of Stasis, I would probably say this is the overall best fragment to run because you're just slowing people longer. Anytime you can manipulate someone else's movements in Destiny 2 or in any PvP game, you are going to be at an advantage. You're going to move faster. You're going to outmaneuver their attacks. You're going to outmaneuver their guns. You're going to have the advantage. Always, always, always. So this is, once again, probably the #1 fragment everyone should be running on their class. All right, we got the Whisper of the Bonds. Defeating frozen targets with weapons grants you super energy. There's an argument to see this placed into the Titan. Just like the Warlock. The Warlock, you just freeze more things with the Warlock than you do with the Titan. And then last but not least, Whisper of the Shard. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit, and you get plus 10 resilience. Now, I'm running these three right here, right, where I'm going to increase the damage and the size of the burst when I destroy crystals. I'm going to get my grenade back for shattering additional stasis crystals, or crystals in general. And I'm going to have the slow ability last longer. Once again, this is just a no-brainer. This is here because it plays well into the Titan, because the Titan's the only class that can slide through ice and break it quickly. It's instant. Why you want to take advantage of it? Oh, if I'm going to slide through ice, well, I can also make the ice explode for more damage and at a bigger radius. So boom, it just kind of makes sense. It just plays into the Titan. And then this one is kind of, you could go with this. I just want my grenade energy, so I could shoot this. I don't have to slide into it. I could shoot crystals. I believe I could shoot enemy crystals as well, and this will apply. So keep that in mind. It's just to get my, again, abilities back, because I think Stasis really relies heavily on abilities. I think Destiny 2 right now is heavy on abilities, which is what it should be. Destiny 1 came out, it was all about abilities and movement. Destiny 2 came out, they had less movement, less abilities, and they've kind of shifted back to D1. And that's where it was more fun when it came to abilities. If you just want a gun-based game, there's other shooters out there. I don't think Destiny was ever truly meant for you, or you've gotten so complacent at not having to deal with abilities all the time that you just forgot how to deal with them. And it's time to, tap back into that memory and that power, and maybe, for lack of a better term, go back to your prime when maybe you played a little bit better because you had more abilities to play with, and you were always worried about more abilities to play against. So I use this to get my grenade back. Again, the argument could be made that maybe you want to shoot frozen targets and get your super back faster, and we're going to go into the super now. This is the clunkiest super out of them all. I've died many a times because my abilities just take too long to activate. Now, you can press R1 to supercharge your Shiver Strike. So pretty much you're just flying with your melee at a farther distance. The longer you hold it, the farther you go through. You can sprint through crystals or frozen targets to shatter them instantly. You don't have to slide, which also places, it plays well into increased damage and size of the burst of the stasis when you destroy them. So that's very good as well. You no longer have to slide, which sometimes is clunky, and maybe the sprint takes a little bit to start up. But hey, you can just run through crystals now. It's very nice, very satisfying. You press R2 to slam the ground, and you send out like 3 pillars in like about a 10 to 20 degree radius from each other, and it'll send out columns, pillars. So you'll see 1, 2, 3 in 3 lines at about 20 degrees, 20 degrees in front of you, from left to right. So anyone caught in that will be encased, and once again, you can just run right through them. You can punch right through all that stuff too. I believe that'll shatter as well. So again, the R2 where you slam the ground, it's very, very clunky. I think it's a very slow animation. I wish it was a little bit faster for that to go off. The R1, I've also died from the R1 pretty much almost as often as I've gotten killed while slamming. So you got to be very careful. Get used to it, because if you get caught, don't get baited. I've been baited plenty of times where I would go up into the sky and press R1 to close the distance and then press R2 to slam. And by the time I slam, they jump out of the way to the side, and now I'm just in that clunky, slow animation getting shot. So don't get baited by that. Sometimes you need to commit to the melee, even if you know it's going to short stop, because you just need to get ready to punch again, because they're already moving to counter you. You just need to be, oh, here's the bait, go for it, right? So if you think you've seen someone bait your teammate once or bait you once, be ready to be baited again. That way you're not surprised, and you'll just be like, oh, you can't bait me twice. And now that's going to throw off the enemy. They may not be as bold to sit there and challenge you. Oh, I died last time, now it's match point. I don't want to risk the chance of baiting this dude. I better just try and outrun it if I can, which it is. Well, now that I think about the R1 ability, good luck outrunning this. It's possible, but I mean, if you have enough abilities and you can freeze it, it's very possible to freeze it. Oh, also speaking of freezing enemies, I've killed some enemies will panic, and when they're in their super, and this is another thing about the ice wall. I've killed plenty of supers now, and one that sticks out in my mind the most recently was a Dawnblade. A Dawnblade popped the super on the ground in front of me, and I was just jumping up. I think it was on Rusted Lands. I was jumping up to the maze at B, and they were already up on top. Not up at the top of the wall, just up on top of the platform where where you would be through the zigzag at B. If you've watched my videos, you know what I'm talking about. So I jumped up above them. They popped their Dawnblade. I threw my grenade on them. It froze. It did not freeze them. And then I proceeded to shoot them a little bit, and then I jumped backwards. Because as soon as I hit the ground, I jumped backwards. All they did was panic swing their Dawnblade into my ice wall, broke my crystals, and killed themselves. Guys, don't panic swing through ice on arc staffs, on Dawnblades, on Spectral Blades, on Titan Smashes, because there's a good chance you're gonna take more damage than you wanted to, and that's a wrap. So, especially if I was the one that would have increases the damage. If I was the one that broke any one of those walls, or if I broke enough walls by you, I'm doing more damage to you. So keep that in mind. Just because you're breaking my ice wall doesn't mean you're not going to take damage. And if I'm breaking my ice wall, I'm dealing more damage, right? So anyway, be careful. And also, the opposite of that to be said is, try to catch people that are panicking their supers using this ice wall. This is probably the second best grenade. I think it's really built well for the Titan. So each, I want to say each grenade has, it's perfect for each class. It's great for the Warlock, great for the Hunter, great for the Titan. No, this one's still just a dud all overall, I think. I think this one is the #1 grenade, the easiest grenade to use, next to this one, which is very powerful on the Titan. The rest of them, it's not as powerful, but it's very useful. Again, it's like getting a Titan shield when you're not a Titan. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. On the next video, someone brought up, hey, Ken, what are the exotic armors you would run on the Hunter? So we'll go through, and I will go over the exotics I would think about running for my Stasis classes, and we'll go from there with videos going forward. So the next 3 videos, it might be an all-in-one video where I just cover all 3, or if I think there's more in-depth and strategy to talk about each exotic and how I would run it and what, the things I would pay attention to. Each video will pertain to its own Stasis class and, the exotic armor pieces that I would run there. Thanks so much for your time. Enjoy your day, whatever it may be, night, evening, morning. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you want to see something else. Link in the description below to probably the Hunter video. We'll also try to get the somewhere at the end of this video right here, you'll see a box, hopefully, unless you're really early to the video, and it'll show you exactly where to click to go to the Hunter video if you missed it. And check out the Trials Training playlist. This is where it'll be. As always, enjoy your day. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time.